7折，这么下来就是鼓励大家用电。
Electricity costs just over 30 cents a unit in Baotao, a fifth of the price in Guangdong province. Liu's husband works for the Baotao Electricity Supply Company, which is running the trial in its workers' accommodation. Zhang Ping also works for the company in its marketing department. He pays about 100 yuan a month for 300 units. He prefers electricity to gas and says he'd rather buy electrical appliances like an electric water heater.
电是一个清洁能源嘛，它比较就是干净，没有污染。再有就是使用起来比较方便又安全。
Electricity is cheap in Inner Mongolia because the region is rich in coal deposits. Even old companies like the Baotao aluminium plant can make a profit, but burning coal to generate electricity pollutes the environment and is a major contributor to global warming. It's also a barrier to investment. Natural energy resources like wind and solar power are being developed. Inner Mongolia is the second largest producer of electricity wind power in the country. But coal-generated electricity remains the mainstay of the economy, with more than 77 million tonnes of coal produced each year and electricity exported to other provinces.
资源优势这个角度来讲，因为煤价我们相对很便宜。从我们的想法是尽量加大西电供送的力度，而且目前我们也有这个能力。将来我们达期3期，如果开工以后，那么这种能力而且会大大加强。
Already, Inner Mongolia supplies around 1/5 of Beijing's power needs. That's expected to increase to 1/4 in future.
Another environmental problem facing Inner Mongolia is desertification, the process whereby arable land turns into desert, often because of factors like overgrazing or soil erosion. Around 60% of the region's land is suffering desertification. That's expanding by around 600,000 hectares every year. Controlling the problem and protecting the grasslands is part of Beijing's policy to promote Western development. But plans to plant new forests could take up to 10 years.
1/3 of Inner Mongolia is sandy land. That combined with wind makes for serious sandstorms which affect urban and rural areas. In severe sandstorms, visibility is reduced to less than 10 metres. The wind is so strong you need to hold on to something to avoid being blown away. Storms in Inner Mongolia frequently originate from neighbouring Russia or Mongolia. The regional government plans to create a forest belt over the next 5 years to improve more than 2.5 million hectares of desert land.
比较恶劣的草场已经占了20%多，这个荒漠化的草原占内蒙草原面积的60%。
And those deserts expand by hundreds of thousands of hectares annually. Inner Mongolia is seen as Beijing's backyard because sandstorms in the region also affect the capital and other provinces. It's hoped the forest shelter will protect Beijing from sandstorms, as well as improving the environmental and economic climates in Inner Mongolia.
Aside from desertification, one of the biggest challenges facing Inner Mongolia is making sure that all its people, especially the ethnic minorities, can take part in economic development and not be excluded as some have been in the past. That ends our series of reports on Inner Mongolia's economy. Next stop on our journey west is China's smallest administrative area, the Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region, where Louise Wong is standing by to tell us more. Louise?
Thank you, Sue. And yes, Ningxia is the smallest region of China, accounting for less than 1% of the country's total area. It's also one of the driest corners of the earth, with an average annual rainfall of about the same as a heavy downpour in Hong Kong. Ningxia is an autonomous region administered by the Hui minority, who make up about 1/3 of the population. It's the highest concentration of Muslims in the country. I'm in the capital of Yinchuan, and behind me is the city's main mosque. Over the next few days, we'll be bringing you stories about the Muslim community here, and we'll also take a look at how the region is coping with the long-standing drought in its bid to catch up with the 21st century. But that's tomorrow night. Until then, it's back to you, Diana, in the studio. Natural gas, as well as a key element in silicon chips. But before it can realise its ambition to be an industrial centre, it has to solve its many environmental problems that's already hindered by its arid conditions. This is the smallest and driest of China's administrative regions, and everyone, including the 1.9 million people of the Hui minority, is affected. No matter how busy they are, Mr. Wang and his family pray 5 times a day towards Mecca. 2 years ago, Mr. Wang sent his second son to a Muslim academy to study Arabic and the Quran. But this is a village in Shakao County, and 20 people, 4 generations, live under the same roof. Their greatest dream is to visit Mecca at least once. The family raises sheep and, as part of the reforestation program, plants trees to sell to other villages. For them, the prospect of developing the West could help their dream come true. But it means selling a lot of trees. Beijing is strict in allowing permission to the Hui minority to visit Mecca. In order to apply, they have to prove they at least have 30,000 yuan. But the Wang family's annual income amounts to just 5,000 yuan. Villagers here hope to learn more scientific methods of farming and better ways to plant trees to make the land more fertile. If that happens, it won't be just the land that prospers, the people will too. No one in Mr. Wang's village has ever been to Mecca, but he's hoping his son will be the first to do so. Now tomorrow we'll look at how drought and the expanding desert is affecting both the land and the people of Ningxia. Until then, it's back to you in Hong Kong, Diana.
Thank you, Louise. In Ningxia, still ahead in the news, a man injured in an electric heater explosion.
Just a claim that the 21 victims were lined up and shot at close range.
The former senator from Nebraska said he was tired of being called a hero while he knew what really happened in Vietnam in 1969. Bob Kerry was leading a 7-member naval commando team in Vietnam's eastern Mekong Delta when they were shot at.
And we returned fire, and we turned a lot of fire. And by the time the firefight was all over, we had another, I don't remember what the total number was, another group of people. And they were all women and children. They were all civilians.
Everyone was a civilian.
Every single one.
Mr. Kerry, however, rejected claims by a former member of his team and a Vietnamese woman survivor that the victims were herded together in a group and gunned down. The former senator said he and his men did not know that they were shooting at unarmed civilians. Mr. Kerry was later awarded the American military's highest award for bravery, the Medal of Honor, for another raid. He was an unsuccessful candidate in the 1992 presidential election and has not ruled out another bid in 2004.